Hello everyone, today we are back for my monthly golf swing analysis. We are going to watch what happened during this month, what did I train on and so on, and what are the results. I'm really pumped up because I had a lot of good stuff during this month and I trained a lot. I'm a little bit exhausted, so I took the last week off so I can just recover. But I moved forward a lot, so I'm pretty happy. I finished also with a competition with a partner, which was the Scramble. So this is this game formula where each of the partners, the players play one ball and you take the best one after. But my partner played extremely bad, and most of the time we took only my balls. So we score 3 under totally, but actually this is almost me that this is me that I've done all the birdies. We have done 5 birdies, 2 bogeys, and all on my own. So I'm pretty happy because I played very well. So let's see. Let's look at what happened during this month. So September 2021. Lot of interesting stuff, starting getting more control and significantly reduce my standard deviation. And that's something really I starting becoming more and more conscious as I'm improving my swing. I start caring less and less about where the trajectory of my ball. I just don't care. I mean, I still care, but what I'm looking for is I am hitting my bucket of balls. And I watch where the ball is going to land, and I look at the standard deviation. So if you don't know, the standard deviation is primarily on average how far from where you aim the ball is going to end. And so as I was improving, this starting to narrow down smaller and smaller. And so one standard deviation, I don't remember exactly how much it take in consideration the shot, but 2 times the standard deviation, so 2 times what you're doing on average, is going to encapsulate 95% of your shot. And so the last 5% are the really bad shot that you are making. So that's also interesting because you want to know where those bad shots, how you miss those very, very bad shots, and how far you are missing them. And so that was something very interesting. And also, this is something that helped me a lot because I reduced and I think I passed a threshold. And I think this threshold is about 5% of the distance we are trying to hit. Because when you are entering to this 5% range, suddenly the golf course becomes easy. And if you're outside, the golf course becomes difficult. Because I don't know, it's like the golf course are built for this 5% threshold, where if your standard deviation, I think the 2 times standard deviation is inside this 5% of the distance, then you put your ball every time on the fairway, you put your ball every time on the green, and you are making, if you are able to make the putt, you make a lot of birdies. So I wasn't consistent to be all the time into this 5%, but enough time so that I was able to play very well on this competition. So let's dive into this. The first session, shifting my left during the backswing and moving forward and down during the transition to build lag. Yes, so let's talk about this. Something I think I remember because 30 days is a long way, I don't remember. But I wanted to reshift my weight way more to the left, and also I realized that if at the beginning of my downswing my hands were moving right, this will throw the club away from me and release the lag sooner. So what I wanted to do is during the transition, having my hands that are dropping vertically or even forward as I'm shifting my weight. And so this is what I wanted to do in order to maintain my lag longer and being able to go through. So as you can see here, I really try to start shifting my weight directly during the takeaway. So then I'm really set onto my left side and I can resist the momentum of the club going back. and you can see here my hands still move a little bit on the left when we are watching from this angle, but that's not that bad. I can do better, of course. So this one looks good. You can see my hands are moving vertically almost, still a little bit towards the left, but that's much better, and this allows me to maintain a little bit more my leg, even though that's good, that's good, that's good, but that's not enough. I want it better. And also there is something here. You can see I have my extension up until there, where actually I need to be extending completely at impact to really release all the energy, where you can see here the energy continue to release well after the impact. So this is probably also a consequence of not being able to maintain my leg long enough. So let's look at with the woods. Moving forward. Boom. So that's not that bad. I'm moving more forward and so on, but I have an issue with my lower body, and we will talk about this a bit later. But that was also that I during this month, the big difference was that I actually deeply understood how and why I should actually move my hip forward. And that's because for a very long time I heard people say, oh, you should turn your hip more and so on, but I don't think very people don't understand why they should. And what so we will talk about after, but so some of the things I really understand during this month is why and how I should turn my hips. Here, and you can see resisting with my lower body allow me to not go too far on my backswing, which was a struggle that I had. But still, you see here, I'm stuck. I'm not able to rotate. So there is something wrong with my lower body. But that wasn't my focus during this session. I was only focusing on the transition, moving the hand forward as much as I can to maintain the line. So I wasn't focused really on the release, on the downswing and release. So let's move on a little bit down the line. Not that bad. Actually, absolutely awful. Not that bad until now, and then so this is, I know the answer now, but stick until the end to know. Boom. So session 2, shifting my shift left, set the club with shoulders and bent right leg, rotate hip low, keep arm in front of my body. Yeah, I tend to have a little bit too much thoughts at the same time. So I wanted to, I think all of this is, yes, that was just I didn't put here, but that was a backswing focus. So shifting my weight, really, as I said in a previous video, using my shoulder to set the club. You can see here, you pull your right shoulder back and you push the left shoulder forward, and this set the club. So I'm really focused about that, not trying to manipulate my wrist and so on, just using my body to set my club. And also I saw on some videos that I start to, the fact, if you remember, that at the end of the backswing I start getting up, I think is the fact that I'm pushing too much on my right leg on the way back. And so if I rotate going back and keep my right leg bent, I could maybe be able to prevent this head moving up at the end of my backswing. And also by rotating, keeping my arm in front, by doing that, you know, if I rotate and I not swinging my arm around. Anyway, let's move on. Yes, so we are here for a while, so take a drink. Move on, let's move on. So, how does it look? Shift up. So you can see here my club is really set. I'm able to really use my upper body to set the club. So that's a good thing, and because before I was struggling a bit with that. Okay. But that doesn't help with the main issue, which is my lower body on the way down. I was trying to, because I think what I had in mind is probably if I do things wrong on the backswing, then it's going to be difficult on the way down. But it's not wrong. I mean, if doing things right on the way back, things are going to get easier on the way through. But if you are doing wrong thing on the way through, that doesn't help. So yes, anyway. Yeah, I don't really remember this session. As I said, I think I have done. Anyway, we need to move forward faster because we are going to be here for a very, very long time otherwise. Squat down, rotation in bind. But I'm losing my line way too early, and I am extending, losing the power way too late. Driver, oh yeah, the driver. Oh. So I set my club, yes, but a little bit later. But if I was able to do the right things, that won't be a very big issue, but I'm not, so that's not that bad. It just missed a few parameters, so let's move on. Yeah, nice. I don't know if I've implemented this this time, but actually, yes, I was during this month. I was also thinking about in the transition, really having bending the right leg aggressively during the transition is going to help me shift my weight to the left a lot more. And I think I'm doing it here. I don't know if yes, that was the slow motion because I pretty liked it. My lower body here, the transition of my lower body is pretty awesome. I really like it, but then I'm struggling with the downswing. But the transition looks awesome in terms of lower body. Then, allez, let's move on. Just repeating after a week of break. So I took a week of break and I'm just trying to repeat the same thing. Let's see how it goes. So here you can see I'm shifting a little bit to the right, then I try to shift to the left as fast as I can to set the club very early. But here you can see after a week of break I completely forgot to use my right leg the right way. Let's see with a longer club. Yes, let's go. Can't tell you how much I procrastinate to do this live analysis. I was just so freaking tired last week. So this one looks strangely good, but I don't think it is. So yeah, perfect set of the club. I'm resisting pretty well on the way back, but still I'm still too much. Anyway. Then the issue is I'm not transferring enough to the left, and there is a bunch of issues that I don't like here. Because here I should shift way more to the left and then rotate, but I don't let enough time to my body to rotate, and my upper body is getting through. That's difficult for me to explain because I know the answer. So anyway, let's move on. Yes, this. So I started. Okay, I have a clear view on what I want to do in the backswing, but then things are looking very weird on the way down. So I wasn't really understanding, and I don't remember exactly what put that in my mind, but I wanted to reach the highest level of control because I'm currently implementing some stuff on my putting to really be able to control the distance massively. And so I thought to myself, if I just lift the club, whatever distance in my backswing, and then from this position, I'm trying to hit the ball. Because if I'm able to control my backswing to that point, to having the exact amount of distance in my backswing, I mean, if I want to go to 1/4, 2/4, and 2/3, and so on, but I'm extremely accurate in doing that to control the distance. So that was a little bit in my mind. Okay, maybe I'm doing things good, but if truly I want to have control over my distance and conscious control in terms of backswing length, let's try to do 1-2. Looking for true deep confidence for me, it's about figuring things out and having a total control over what I'm doing. And so yes, that was my seeking process, where I truly wanted to, because having this true feeling of confidence is different from one another. And for me, this is really about understanding what I'm doing and having a total control over it. And so I thought to myself, okay, so let's do that. I want to have total control over what I'm doing, and I want to understand perfectly. So I'm going to set the club and do my down swing from there. So as you can see, I lift my club, I wait in that position, and then I'm trying to hit the club. And so that was really strange, because it forced me to understand very exactly. Also because you're in that position, you don't have the momentum going back, and so giving energy to the club is very much difficult. There is no room for error or anything. You have to be efficient in your movement in order to hit the ball and give power to it. And that was really difficult with my low wedge, I think I was struggling to just get after 50 meters. And then I tried also to do that, just lifting the club, doing a micro pause at the top of the backswing. And so also I was doing half backswing and full backswing, and I felt that there was a big difference in the way I need to move down in order to do it. And so that was very interesting, because I was setting my club in the way I wanted to set it. So okay, maybe after a bit of work, this is what I'm looking for because this is what I have in my mind. But then from this position, how am I going to be able to hit the ball? And then I realized, okay, there is maybe some stuff that I'm doing wrong. This is very weird. And so, yes, that forced me to understand, okay, this is where I'm compensating. This is what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. So that was very interesting to do. And this led me toward the understanding that I had until the end. But I wasn't very accurate. Actually, the ball was going pretty everywhere. But as I was doing it, I was trying a bunch of stuff. Here, what I was doing, I think I remember, I was just trying to shift, pull down my arm as much as I can, and let the club release all on its own. To have the, like it say, perfection, it was remove everything. Okay, I remove everything. I just shift my left, pull my arm down, and just let the release happen. Okay, let's see what happened. So that was good, but I wasn't really comfortable with it. Anyway, let's move on. Also, I tried with my driver. That was even more awkward. Because this is that I want to be in the good position at the top of my backswing, but if I go too fast with my my backswing and so on, I'm not going to be able to do that. So yeah, I was trying a bit of stuff, but anyway, let's move on. Entering into a trading mode for the first time in a long time. And so what I mean by that is every session that I'm doing, I'm just trying to understand, okay, if I do that, this is what happened. If I do that, this is what happened. But generally speaking, I'm not struggling to execute, or maybe this is just me that is delusional, and I think I'm able to do the thing easily, but actually I'm not. Where I in my mind, this is not me that is not able to execute what I want, but more my understanding of what I'm trying to do that is wrong. And so here, I was put in a position, so doing my backswing, as you can see, and then I was struggling to go down. And so that's why I said that I was entering into a trading mode, because I was just repeating the same thing and trying to do something that I wasn't able to do. So this is trading. When you are trading, you are trying to execute something that you are struggling with. And so that's why I said trading mode. And so here you can see I was trying to to alternate between just setting the club and then moving down. And so looking at that here, okay, there is no backswing. The backswing is done, but then this is just a downswing. And so there is some stuff very interesting that I saw in my patterns on the way I was doing things that just I didn't see it previously, but I think this is what make my downswing strange. So if you can see here, let's go. Actually here I'm doing less. Let's move on maybe just before. Here you can see here the first thing that I do is contracting the interior of my left hip to rotate, but I'm doing it extremely early. I mean, this is the first thing I do, and so I'm rotating, but I'm rotating more over the top rather than from inside out. So that's awkward. Normally at this point, my knee should move forward and then bring the hips and rotate. And this is the rotation that brings the hands forward. But now I was seeing that what I was doing is just contracting the inner muscle of my hips, of my left hip, in order to rotate as quickly as possible from my position. And so that's very interesting to see actually. And this one actually was a bit better, but you can still see that I'm still contracting this muscle, even though I'm shifting a little bit more. That was a little bit better with a little bit more rotation. But so that was very interesting to see the muscle pattern that was triggered right after the backswing. We can see a little bit. Yeah, so very interesting stuff. I mean, you try it for yourself, film yourself, and you will, I think, learn a bunch of very interesting stuff. I think I did it also here. You can see, yes, I'm rotating my hip way too early, and this is really my left hip actually. My rotation happened only with my left hip, and I think this move is the last move that should happen in the downswing, because after you have rotated your left hip by contracting the inner muscle, you're stuck. You cannot turn anymore. So this should happen at the end. You should rotate your lower body and everything else by other motions, and then finish by firing this, because if you don't do that, I mean, doing that is allow you to stabilize your hips and your leg at impact. But this really is about doing that stuff at the last minute, at the last time. You need to, I mean, this is what I understand. So, anyway. So as you can see, my backswing, I was much slower, much more in control, and so on. Except for that one. Now I was starting to want to have a little bit more power. So 1-2 on the full power swing motion. Establish a stop in the backswing, plus understanding better the dynamic. So here my idea was, okay, I did it on a very slow, where I move my club back, then I move down. But my full dynamic backswing is really, I set the club very with a lot of dynamic on the way back, and so maybe I need to stop right there in a highly dynamic position, then move down to do the right to the downswing. So I was taking things further into my more natural swing. So as you can see, so this is a full backswing motion. So that's very complicated to actually execute. I didn't do it a lot actually. I wasn't, but I remember that in my mind I was trying really to pause at the top of my backswings, feeling that I was stopping before moving down, so I can feel a little bit more. Even though on the video it doesn't seem like that. Ah, here you can see we have seen it a little bit. Stop. Yes. And so that was enabling me to actually have a good backswing position, and from this backswing position having a position that I knew which. I mean, how can I explain that? Sorry, but yeah, basically I was repeating. I was in a position that then I understand what I needed to do on the way back. At least I was trying to do things, so I can. So if I miss, the result that I was getting was more accurate. because what we can see here, I forgot, but between each stuff I was practicing moving my backswing, doing my backswing very fast and stopping. Then I set up in front of the ball and then execute my swing. So we can see the backswing not that bad. I mean, the arm are a little bit behind, but my body is not that bad actually. Let's move on. We are not even at the middle. So yeah, with wood it's a little bit more difficult, but that's not that bad actually. So I keep my angle. My backswing is a lot shorter than I'm used to do. But still on the way down, that's not that easy. No, backswing look pretty awesome. But what I don't like is that, so that's something I already talked about in previous videos, but the issue with that, because I was really, this is about me resisting with my upper body and my lower body in order to get the club in plane. And so I don't really like that, because it means as soon as I start getting tired on the golf course, then my backswing will start getting wrong, or I start getting out of lane just because I'm start getting tired. So that's not very something that it is good in order to be accurate over the long term. So even though it look good, you can see here I'm starting hitting balls, and as I'm getting more and more tired, and my backswing start getting a little bit flatter and flatter, because I'm able to less and less resist on the way back. And also the downswing is awful. I'm rotating my hips way too early. What's funny to me is until this month, my focus was more about delaying my hips rotation. And I understand actually when I would tell you what I did. This is about not rotating. It's about delaying your rotation. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. Keep doing the same thing, getting improvement and insight, but still some stuff I don't get. So as I was practicing this 1-2 sequence, so I still struggle to figure out stuff and so on. I understand some stuff will get easier, some other will get less easier and so on. But yeah, so the reason it's not that I want to have two swings, but if I can have a swing that is just a very simple motion, 1, 2, and I'm very accurate in terms of precision. I'm not looking for power, because wedges and short iron, I don't need power. I need to be precise. I need to be accurate all the time. And so I don't need to take my club back as fast as I can. So if I can have 2 speed level, that should be fine to me. So this is also what I was trying to do, just move back and move through, and trying to be very accurate with that. But yeah. There is stuff. I don't know, maybe I should do that progressively over the months, getting that update and so on, so the video is more interesting, and I get my and we can I can talk about my insight progressively as I move on. I don't know, this is something I need to look for. Why are you like that? Yeah, people ask me to move. And still you can see that this The issue is the fact that I'm crossing the line with my short iron and with my driver and my woods, I'm getting flat. I don't know if this is an issue of clubs or this is an issue of me. Because in my mind, I'm trying to do the same thing, but maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm subconsciously changing stuff between my short iron and my long. Maybe the fact that I'm more upright with my driver. I'm not making the same exact backswing. I don't know. That's pretty confusing actually. And so this is something I'm going to look for when I have some money aside, is getting a new set of clubs with some actually specs that are not very conventional, because what I want to do, because the more flat your plan is with the same club, with the same weight in club, the tougher it's going to be to maintain the club on plane. And so what I think is, okay, so it's easier to do it with short iron, and actually with a short iron, it's better to have a flat backswing, because then the club is going to come a little bit more over the top, so you will hit down more easily. And with the driver, this is actually the opposite. It's better to have a club that is a little bit across the line, so you can come back from the inside and hit the ball upward. And so in order to do that, you need, I don't know if it's the swing weight or if it's just the weight of the club face, but you need a weight that is way much heavier with your wedges. The shorter your club, the heavier it needs to be in the head. And on the opposite side, the lighter, the longer the club, the lighter the club head needs to be, in order to facilitate this, facilitate you keeping the club on plane, or even getting it across the plane so you can come from the inside. And so it's, if it's a swing weight, that will mean I will have wedges on D9 or the heaviest I can have, and probably a driver in D1 or even in C9, C8, I don't know. So that's really not conventional, because usually people are taking driver very heavy. But yeah, but I mean, if taking something heavy, but that throw completely my swing plan out of place, why would I do that? It doesn't make any sense. I'd rather have a club that is much lighter, that allow me to hit the ball exactly as how I want to hit it, and then just accelerate, trying to get comfortable with this swing weight and accelerate the club. I don't care that the club are feeling different in my backswing. I just want them to do what I want them to do. So this is something I need to look for. I need to investigate, pay someone, and put money aside in order to buy new clubs, because currently this is really bothering me. Because as I said, I really think that I'm doing the same thing, but I mean, I'm getting just freaking, you can see here. So with my iron, you see earlier, I was completely crossing the line, and now with my driver, I'm completely flat. So my driver, if you want to know, it's D5. Yes, and I think my 7 iron is also D5. On average, I'm between D3 and D5, I think, on all my clubs actually. Something like that, yes. I think the lightest club weight I have is on my 3 iron, where I have actually D1. So, opening the hip back during the transition. So yeah, this is what I told you. As I saw in the previous video, I show you that I was starting my downswing by closing my left hip, the inner muscle of my left hip. And so what I wanted to do is really, if your hip are or turned, what I wanted to do is try to keep increasing this, the fact my hip is, so you're turning on the way back like this. And what I want you to do is, as I'm so my hip are like this, and I want you to increase the rotation of my hips as I was transitioning. So to prevent what I was doing of turning too early. And this was my idea. So what I was doing is basically you extend the left hip and you contract the inner muscle of the right hip. So let's look at how it looks. So I'm not doing it pretty much here. I think it's a little bit later that I did it a bit. As you can see, I'm turning a little bit later. That's not that bad actually. That's looked pretty well. So as I said, here it's not hip rotation, it's actually delaying my hip rotation in order to be able to rotate at the right time. I'm not doing it very much. I think this is with the woods. I was exaggerating it a lot. Yeah, here you can see I separate. Yeah, I remember actually the previous thing I was doing. Actually, I was trying to rotate all my backswing, everything, all my body, and keeping my arm in front. I was just testing some stuff, and actually, I didn't really do what I was thinking I was going to do until my wood. And you can see here I'm doing it. I'm exaggerating it. So my hips. So actually, in terms of feeling, it just I have my left knee that is moving forward, and this is this separation I have between my so instead of contracting the left hip, I was extending it in order to delay the hips rotation on the way back. So here you can see I have both of my knees that are very wide apart, so my hips are not very rotated. And then I can contract aggressively in order to rotate, boom. But still, I'm not rotating enough, so what is the issue? And I have the answer, don't worry. So yeah. So that was something, because this thing I kept it. It just I understand some other stuff. So this stuff is important because I want the transition where my hips are staying quiet, and also something very interesting is that by doing that you stabilize the transition, because if your hips start moving, this creates instability in your transition, where actually by trying to contract the inner right hip and increase the angle between your left hip and your left leg, so you're keeping your hips rotated to the right and stable. What happened is it creates a few, not even maybe a second, where you are transitioning your weight to the left, but your hips don't rotate. And so this creates a tremendous amount of stability for your upper body to bring the club back in front. And so that's really what I had on the what I have on the insight I got from this. And so this is something I'm going to get, because later I've implemented, and this allows me to reduce tremendously my standard deviation. And this is really important, because the transition is where the accuracy of your swing happens during the transition. And if you're not stable during this moment, yeah, you can put the ball all over the place. And so having a move like this that stabilizes this moment, I think is pretty powerful, I think. So yeah, because I didn't try it with the iron, I get back to it. You can see here, boom, 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 up, separation. But I know I'm thinking about too much thing at too much time. So here, as I said earlier, I need to bend the right leg at the same time, but I didn't think about it right now. But that still look good. I mean, that still look good. I'm stabilizing the transition, moving my knee forward, my left knee, because the right knee not yet. I'm teasing you. Anyway, let's move on. I want to see other stuff. Because we are already, yeah, all our 45 minutes in. No, that looked pretty good. It's just a few details that I don't like, but the transition of the lower body is good. The downswing and the release, no. So yes, we still have a lot of work to do. But of course, I cannot do everything right from. So I can only focus on a handful of things each time. So the important stuff is I keep note of the thing I want to add in my swing. I make the list, and once I'm stabilizing stuff, then okay, I'm trying to repeat the same thing. And this is what those videos is about, reminding myself of what I've understood, so I can then remember to implement them when I want to focus on one thing. Keep the head behind during the transition and downswing through using my hip, just exit some stuff, shoulder rotating right, then set the club vertically. Okay, so here, so I thought to myself that's really strange, because as I'm shifting my weight, I'm getting stuck and my arms are not able to pass. And so maybe it's just because I'm moving my upper body way too much forward. And so by keeping my head behind, maybe it's going to be much easier to drop my arm and rotate. So this is something, because I have watched multiple pros and watch where the head are moving on the way down. And what's interesting to me is their head doesn't really move forward. They move down, generally speaking. So I think this is probably something I'm doing wrong. Is I'm transferring my weight using my upper body. So as you can see here, my head, I try to keep my head behind as much as I can. And so this gave me a very high ball flight, of course. And also, what I was doing is I was rotating a little bit my upper body at this point, just the beginning here, just to set the club at a almost 45 angle. And then what I was trying to do is just set the club vertically, as vertical as I possibly can. Using my lower body and the motion I told you about, using the shoulder to set the club. And then once I reached the top of the backswing, was about staying behind. What I want to do is having my hip move forward a lot while my head stay behind. And so that was, so if we move back to the previous session, here, but yes, that's the driver, so I'm staying a little bit behind, of course, but still you can see my head is moving forward a lot, and so that doesn't help. But anyway, let's come back. Also, I changed my hat because the other one I put it in the washing machine, and it destroyed my hat. So rip in peace, my old Nike hat. And as I think, I don't know what I think about that, but I put two golf course videos. One on a golf that I did. Actually, I did a match play against myself, so it was really fun. And actually, uh, the video editing was really painful because I wanted to put myself on the green, the two of us, the two of myself, my grey dad and my black art. And so, and having them in the same time in the video was really, I think it's pretty interesting videos actually. So go watch them. And I played also the national golf course of France, the Ryder Cup golf course. So don't hesitate to go watch this one also. That was very interesting. I played nicely, not very well, but good enough for this golf course, let's say. So here I start getting with longer club. I start getting back into my old demon. I don't really here. What I want is at this point my head, my right hip should be almost at the same level of my of my head, but you can see this is absolutely not. So of course, it was a little bit too weird because also something I tend to have my arms that are a little bit behind and so on, and by staying behind the ball, my head behind the ball, this forced me to have my arms that come much more in front of my body. So that may help. That may be something that help in the backswing and downswing. I don't know. That's something to investigate in the future. So yeah, here everything looks good except here my hips are completely stopping. And so I'm going to tease you about what is coming next, but this is wrong because this means the club is going all on its own, and I have no more control of what I'm doing. And also I'm arriving toward the ball with a pushing motion rather than a pulling motion. And so that's the issue here. And so I wasn't getting what I needed to do to actually get what I was looking for. So yes, that's but I found the answer. I found it. Boom. And also I started intensifying the training because the competition was approaching. I think that was a very big blessing because to have this competition, because it forced me to stabilize stuff, focusing on being accurate, being consistent, stabilizing stuff. But I have this bad habit, and I still have it of changing stuff just before a competition. But as I'm stabilizing stuff, I'm changing less and less stuff. So that kind of balance. But no, that's a very bad habit. What I should do if I know I have a competition is just stick to what I'm doing and just repeat and repeat and repeat and get comfortable with it. But yeah, that's tough for me. I know it. I know that's a mistake. But yeah, that's great, but my hips stop rotating. Why my hips stop rotating? I don't understand. I'm trying to rotate. I mean, McElroy do it also, but he continued to rotate until there, and then his hip stop, right? His club move after. I need to keep rotating. Why I don't rotate? I don't understand. Fixing the right leg on the way back. Yes, because I told you I extend the right leg, and that's not something that I want to do. Keep the hand forward and the club face square on the way through. Keep the hand forward and okay. As well as doing as what I did yesterday. So keep the head behind, keeping my right leg flexed on the way back, and on the way through, really trying to keep my hand in front and really as my hands stay in front, releasing the club face. And I can do that because I'm a little bit behind. So I was transitioning into because what the guys that are actually rotating through a lot do is they are rotating and their hands are in front and the club face is rotating as their hands continue to be very in front of them. And so this is what I was trying to do, rotate and keep my hand as far in front as possibly can, and rotating my wrist also, while staying in keeping the head behind like this. That's absolutely not comfortable for me. That's not something I'm used to do. But yeah, anyway, that was that. I'm continue. So as you can see here, my right leg is I keep it really bent, so that's great. And I think this is here that I'm starting to understand the relationship between because I was making push, so the ball that was starting right a lot, and so at some point I was able to actually do what I wanted to do. What I mean is keeping my hand forward and rotating a lot. And what I understand is the more I was able to rotate, the less right my ball was starting. And so I need to rotate very aggressively and keeping my hand forward and rotating the club face square. And the more I was able to do that, the more I was able to get the ball starting in line. And so and yeah, so I started to understand. Okay, so because that was an issue for me, the fact that I had the club face really open on the way down, and the more I was rotating, the more actually the ball was going right, and so that was confusing. But so if I try to rotate even more, then my ball flight was, let's say, straight. The more I rotate, the more right the ball is going to go. But if I keep pushing, rotating more, then the ball flight is going to come into the right direction. So that's kind of, I'm here during this session, I'm passing the threshold of, if I'm rotating enough, then the ball flight is going to come back in the right direction. So that's why I didn't understand until now. People say me, yeah, you should rotate more your hips, you should rotate more your hips. Yeah, but if I do that, my boss is just going to go straight out the window on the right. So, but if I'm doing really keeping my arm in front, rotating the club face, and really rotate it as much as I can, then the ball flight is going to come. But I mean, for me, doing that's just pain in the ass. I am, and so this was very easy for me to miss actually my shot. So I need to put tremendous amount of strength into the rotation of my downswing in order to rotate enough. And I was able to do it with my short iron. With the driver, I wasn't even close to be able to do that, because I think and now I understand why, but I'm rotating my hips the wrong way. And so that was a lot. So I think this started a journey for me to understand, okay, how hip rotation actually work. How does it work actually? And so I started questioning, okay, so we have different parts. We have the feet, we have the knee, we have the hips. All of these parts need to work together in order to rotate the hips as much as possible. So Yeah. Yeah, so I start having a lot of questions. Okay, so hip rotation is useful. I mean, I want to rotate more my hip. I know this is an issue, but I wasn't understanding why and how I should do that until now. And now I start having grid of how it works actually. And so I think this session starting the momentum of me questioning how exactly should I rotate my hip and do that. This is just having me having a bit of fun doing some long drive session. Yes, and this make me understand that the way I was doing my backswing, because what I want to do with my backswing is reduce the length of my backswing. And so, as I said, I'm once I'm rotating my upper body, I'm pushing with my feet to shift to the left, while I'm rotating and pulling down. So the issue with that is when I'm doing it perfectly, this happened. So this is absolutely not the result I wanted. Because by pushing with my feet, actually I'm rotating my hip a lot, and by pulling down my club with my shoulder, I'm rotating my shoulder a lot. And so by doing everything perfectly, what happened is I'm doing an overswing. So that was also an insight I understand, and it was very weird for me to then come back on the way down. But that's interesting. I push the sensation, the idea I had of what I wanted to do, I pushed it to the extreme to see what happened. And I saw that what happened is not actually what I want. So I need to think again about how I think about my backswing in order to get the result I want. But you can see I'm setting the club perfectly. It's just yeah. But yeah, the downswing is awful. And in that position, I wasn't absolutely able to rotate anything. I was just stuck and unable to rotate at all. Anyway, let's move on. So, simplifying. Body rotation on the way back, pulling my arm, and rotation on the way through using my feet. So here, I said, okay, so doing that shit and so on, just make my backswing weight. So what I want to do is keep my arm in front and don't do anything. Then I'm going to rotate my body, just this motion, and keep my arm in front, and that's it. That's it. I want to feel that my body is pulling my arm and that my arm stay in place. So I want to feel that, yeah, I'm pulling my arm and my arm I'm not swinging across my body. So that was the feeling I wanted to have. And then on the way through, what I wanted to do is use my feet to actually rotate, to actually get off the ground at impact. So if I'm able to get off the ground at impact, it means I have completely rotate at impact and I'm not rotating after or releasing the power after impact. So I really wanted to get rid of this issue of stopping my hit at impact. And so I started really trying to use my feet to keep rotating, because at that point I wasn't understand what I was doing wrong, and the only thing I wasn't doing was using my feet to keep rotating at impact. So I was trying to figure out stuff because yeah, I rotate my hip, but I'm not able to rotate more. So what can I do more? And so the answer I was coming up for this session was so use your feet. I actually, what make me think about that was just watching Justin Thomas, that his feet are completely rotating off the ground what he is at impact with his driver. So I figured, yeah, let's try that. Let's try to rotate as much as I possibly can using my feet. And really trying to get off the ground at impact in order to do that. let's move on. So here I'm rotate and rotate back, rotate through. And so really I was on a 1-2 tempo. I rotate back, then I rotate through. Or maybe not, I don't know. I don't remember exactly. So here, exactly, just rotating and not trying to move my arm, just having my body that is rotating, the motion of my body. No, so I wasn't on a 1-2 tempo. So 2 and 3 really rotating, and you see I'm trying to get off the ground with my feet and completely rotating. So because I was trying to understand. So let's look at. So we can see that I'm rotating a little bit more, but that's not, I mean, I'm still really, really far away from what I need to do. So that's really, I mean, that's really mind-blowing. No, not mind-blowing, but confusing. What should I do in order to get to that? That's really. So it's better. Let's be honest, it's better. I'm rotating. My legs are almost completely extended at impact, but still I have my club that is going left. Still, I'm not rotating enough anyway. And also, I see that with my longer iron, that doesn't look that bad, my backswing actually. So here we go up, boom. No, that doesn't look that bad. Just you can see I'm rotating too early again. And I'm. That's better. That's better. That's I'm moving forward in the right direction, but still there is stuff I don't get at this point, because I get it. I think I get it. We will see this month. And you see that the club is crossing because I'm starting rotating with my upper body too early. Bam. What was interesting is my backswing wasn't looking that bad with my bigger club like this wood, but I'm still coming a bit too much from the outside in. So my feet start moving just after impact. Okay, that's better. That's not, because usually my feet was moving after this point almost. So that's still better. I rotate a little bit earlier, but still, for some reason, I'm not able to rotate more than that. And truly believe me, I was trying to get completely off the ground, rotate as much as I can. But what I think is the fact that I'm rotating too early. Then subconsciously, if I want to touch the ball, I need to stop. And this is a subconscious process. And so I have my conscious mind that is trying to override this subconscious process to rotate more. But I want still to hit the ball, so I need to stop. So I think this is this conflict that was happening in my mind. That's why I'm not able to rotate. Because when I'm not hitting ball and I'm trying to rotate my hip, I see this is not, I don't have some hip limitation. I can actually rotate my hip more, but there is just some things that prevent me from doing it. I think this is a subconscious process of me wanting to hit the ball and on the subconscious part, and consciously trying to rotate my hip more. And so this is why I'm not able to do that, because if my subconscious is fighting against my conscious mind, there is something wrong. And so this just mean on the transition and the downswing, I'm doing something wrong. And so I need to figure out what it is. How long is this? 1 hour and 11 seconds. 10 minutes. Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on and conclude. Stabilizing a transition after a smooth backswing. I don't remember what I did. What? Just wait a minute. Let's move on to the next session. Is it the last session? This is the last session. Okay, so here I was really on the idea. Okay, the competition, I think, was the day just after that. So I need to stabilize what I'm doing. And so I figure out, okay, let's do just a simple motion 1, 2. Let's just move smoothly, slowly the club back, then shift and rotate through. Keeping my head behind also, because this was something I was working on. So I move slowly, trying to do the right stuff. Then I shift and rotate through, doing that. And so that was good, actually. And this what allowed me to actually really perform during this competition. And what I understand by this is that the rotation of my hip need to be the fastest during the impact and the release area. What I mean by that is, if I want to stabilize my club through the hitting area, at this point, let's move on. I shift, then rotate. So during this motion, if I want to stabilize my club, I need to keep my hand moving forward and pulling the club. But the club is accelerating during this phase. Accelerating a lot, actually. And so in order to be able to do that, my hips need to be rotating extremely fast at this point, so I can continue to pull the club through the hitting area. And so this is what is going to stabilize the motion. And so this is not what happened during this session. What happened during this session, I was really moving my backswing, trying to open my hips, as I said, during the transition to stabilize the transition, and then rotating through by pulling the club and so on. And this was pretty efficient. But then, so this alone allowed me to really perform well during the competition and to reduce tremendously my standard deviation. But I was struggling I hit a few bad shots, because I think just moving back is not a good, because as you move back, then the club is going to pull you toward the left, to the right on the screen. So here you can see the club is moving to the right, which is going to pull me towards that direction. And so And so just the 1-2 motion is not something that you can do that is very stable, that is in the flow of the golf swing. You want at this point to shift your weight and move down. And so this is the insight I got after the competition. And so what I realized is actually my hips, I need to stop to be complete. I need to not rotate my hip until this moment. And then after the delivering point, I need to rotate my hip as fast as possible in order to stabilize the club through impact. This is not about power. This is really about having my hips rotating enough during the hitting area so I can pull the club and stabilize the club through the hitting area. And so to do that, I need to do my backswing, shift my weight and keeping my hip quiet. As I said, I keep them open, bring the club down, and that's it. Stop. The upper body doesn't do anything. Then this is about me using my lower body. And as I was practicing that at home and so on, I was understanding that I was feeling, yeah, but I'm not able to do it. Oh, if I use my knee first, my right knee actually, then I'm able to pull the upper body and rotate my hip more, and then I can at the end use my muscle, my inner left hip muscles to rotate, and also use my right glute to open my right hip just after impact. And so this is something I want to try, but I think because here I was just moving back, shifting and rotating, moving through. So that's a pretty good motion, but it missed something of the natural flow of the swing. So it allowed me to perform well, but I think I can do better. Well, I really try to move to do my backswing. So also something that I understand is in order to get more control, I need to slow down my backswing. So stop rushing into the backswing. Just do a backswing as slow as I possibly can. Now this is my focus that I want to do now. Then transition and feel that the slowest moment of the swing is at the delivery point. Because then this is, when you're at the delivery point, this is about transitioning from the downswing toward the release. And I never heard anyone talking about that. How do you transition from the downswing to the release? And actually you don't. So you make your transition, you get the club down in front of you without rotating your hip, and then you transition from the delivery point to the release by rotating your hip aggressively and pulling your club through the hitting area completely. And also something actually I forgot to tell you, but what I find is when I'm shifting my weight in order to get the club to release perfectly, when I'm transitioning, I initiate my wrist rotation to close the club face a little bit. And what I find is then when I'm rotating, this is much easier to get the club face rotate around me. Well, before I was keeping my right wrist a little bit bent, cupped in the transition, which then put myself in a position where I was completely unable to spin my club face when I was rotating. So this is also something. And then you rotate through and so on. But yeah, so this is what I find is really about once I'm in that delivery position, I need to rotate using my right knee and left knee, but primarily having my right leg that is pulling my torso. So this stretch, something a bit like that, I think. So and I'm doing that, and so this is going to allow me to keep my upper body quiet. Don't do anything with it, just keep it quiet so my arms fall in front of me, and then pulling the upper body with my lower body, and don't having my upper body that is moving over the top like that. So I'm pretty optimistic on what is going to happen. I want to try this month. I want to find out how I can, because I've been able to do some pretty awesome stuff during this competition, but still I had a lot of misses that was really strange, because I was able, with all of the stuff I did, I was able to fix the direction, but I struggled a lot with my with the contact. Sometimes I was making fat, thin, and so on, but in terms of direction, I was pretty accurate, because there is two things that allow me to do that. First of all, transitioning and keeping my hip open during the transition, closing a bit my club face, then rotating through and keeping my arm forward. But yeah, so I'm pretty happy, but still there is some issue with the contact, and I think this is the contact issue that I had was primarily because of what I said is the 1-2 tempo doesn't fit the natural flow of the swing, and that's why I was having some issue with the contact. And so I need to set the club back, transition as I'm finishing my backswing, and bring the club down to the delivery position. This is 1, 2, and then 3, rotating the hip and releasing the club. And by pulling the club through the hitting area all the way, rotating, don't hesitate to get my feet off the ground, because this is that. I want to rotate as much as I possibly can through the hitting area until the ball is already hitted, and then I can slow down my rotation. But I need to hit the ball at a moment where my hips are accelerating, because the club is accelerating, and so if I want to compensate the acceleration of the club in order to keep my hand moving forward and be very stable through impact, I need to have my hips that are also accelerating. This is not about having my hip that's rotating in a constant motion. No. I need really my hip to accelerate through impact. So I need to wait until the last, very last moment to start my rotation. And I need to increase as much as I possibly can the leverage in my hip, so contracting the inner muscle of the right hip, opening my left hip as much as possible while I'm shifting my weight to the left. And then when I'm in the delivery position, then I can rotate my hip and my feet in order to really accelerate through impact. So I have this is really this balance of you pull the club using your hips in a motion that is accelerating, while the club is accelerating down toward the ball. And so if you're able to balance those two accelerations so they cancel themselves in terms of stability, it's because the club is still accelerating, so the ball, you will still have the power that is going to be transmitted to the ball, but the club is going to do it in a very stable motion. And so yeah, this is what I'm going to look for this week. This is what I'm this month. And so I'm really interested to what is going to happen, and we'll see. But things are starting to move pretty well. I'm pretty happy about it. And yeah, we'll see. So let's just finish watching. And the tempo was pretty good. The partner I had in the competition was saying that my ball had a pretty insane sound. This is the first time people saying that to me, that the sound of my ball when I was hitting it was pretty awesome. So maybe I was having my hand a little bit more forward. I was compressing the ball a little bit more, maybe. That's why the sound was better. But yes, that's actually the first time that people were saying that to me. And also, what was interesting is I was making my backswing really slow, and it was looking fine. I mean, okay, so... And this is with the wood, so with the iron, that's look good also. The tempo is really well and so on, but because, as I said, it's not in the natural motion of the club, this can create some contact issue. But at least I was doing the right things that allow me to fix the direction issue, and that's very important. If you can start first to reduce the direction, being almost straight or having a very small standard deviation all the time. That's really good in terms of direction. Then this is just about the contact. So I need to keep doing the same thing, just add this 1, 2, 3 tempo rather than 1, 2 in order to hit the ball very consistently in terms of contact. And really having this idea that the slowest part of the swing is at the delivery point, at least for the upper body, where you are moving the club back, building the lag, and then you're slowing down, just before impact, you slow down, you're waiting, and then bam, bam, you're rotating your hips. So yes, I think that's it. I think that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed. I probably know very few people are going to watch until now, so if you did, thanks you a lot. And yeah, so we are going to see what happened next month. I'm really excited. I think we are going to see a pretty fun stuff. This Friday, actually, I'm going on the golf course with my with a friend. So I'm going to train a bit this during this week to apply what I was thinking, and we will see on the golf course what it means. I'm going to record and put the video on my channel, of course. So yeah, I think that's it for today. So thanks you for watching, and I see you next time.